welcome. Hi. Sorry about this, anyone that's watching, but I've got Adam Sharlow and James Mason here with me from Goldbusters. Met at Charlie Ward's, or met James at Charlie Ward's event a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham, and you did this talk about gold and silver and how you got into it, and I'm sure loads of people would have had a lot of questions, but it was the timing because there were so many different speakers. So I said, would you mind coming on and doing a talk on this platform? And this is not to say, you know, everyone's entitled to, it's just a platform for all different speakers to give their opinions on, you know. So I've done a talk before with Rich Stone on cryptocurrency. So it's just finding out different things, because I would say that most people would agree these days, if you have got any spare money, it definitely wouldn't be worth keeping it in a bank. So yeah, that's why I thought I'd ask Adam and James if they'd come on and talk to us about gold and silver. And so I'd love to know your story and how you got onto this particular avenue. Yeah, so whichever one wants to start first, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, well, cool, Jackie, cool.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
obviously I wasn't at the event to meet you, but James said, oh, I've met this this lovely young lady and she'd love to have us on.
Very young.
Have us on. So yeah, we're happy to be here, and yeah, we can both chat for quite a while, as you probably know.
Yeah,
I think our journey is probably started with James. He's a smidge older than I am, and yeah, but and we're actually related as well. So I'll let James tell you the first part of it, and then I kind of join a little bit later on.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, again, I'll double that, Jackie. Thanks for having us on, because if we can help and reach out and help more people, Jackie, then we're very happy people, you know.
Lovely.
Because we've been doing this for many years, you know. So like, yeah, ex-forces, for those people who don't know me, I was in the army for 22 years. I left the army in November 2013. But to cut a long story short, while I was in the army, I just started realizing, maybe the last 6 years in the army, I started realizing that I've got to set myself up for the future, and doing what everyone else does doesn't really work. Just relying on a pension doesn't really work. So it might not even be there in years to come. And it's not much anyway, you know, it really wasn't much. And I just knew that I had to do something different. So I started learning. I think it was more than 6 years ago, actually, but I started learning about finance and money and in property and investing and many things. And just to get myself in a better place financially. And yeah, so because I just realized that there was so many people in the army at the time that I knew weren't happy where they were, but they had no choice. They had no choices but to have a job and be in that job. It was all about the pension, you know. Yeah. So they had no choices in life. They had no options, and they never had any money. Most of my friends and colleagues were in debt. So, because they were doing what everyone else did, and I just realized very early on, like I said, that you've got to do something. You've got to do the opposite to the masses. I learned the hard way. You've got to do something completely different, and you've got to get out of the system, and step out of the system and do your own thing, and become independent of the financial system, well, of the system in general. So I started, I know I'm putting everyone in the same box here, not everyone drunk alcohol, but a lot of the lads would be in the bar every night, or most nights drinking or what have you. But I was away on courses and investing my time into learning about bettering myself and being in a better place, so then I can help my own family and what have you. And that's what I did. I went away and spent lots of money and time on courses and to get myself in a better place. And then I just thought, everyone should know about this. I shouldn't keep it to myself. It's wrong. So I started sharing the love, as we say.
Yeah.
Sharing the love and sharing it. Yeah. And sharing it with all the other soldiers and family and friends. And, you know, so, and I even started paying off people's debts for them. Soldiers, mainly, because all the guys, I had about 30 guys used to work for me. And they were all in debt. I don't think there was anybody that wasn't in debt. And I used to pay off the debts for them. I used to make a little bit, but I used to pay off the debts for them and save them thousands. One guy had £4,000 worth of debt, between 2,000 and 4,000. I can't remember. No, it's 4,000% APR. Sorry, that's what he had. I think he had about £2,000 worth of debt, but 4,000% APR.
Yeah.
that was the highest he had, and the lowest was about 998% or something ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started paying off people's debt, but then I realized it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it does for the short term, but they're all back in debt again because they don't know how money works. They don't understand it. And then they just go borrowing again and getting straight back into it again. So that's when I realized that I need to be teaching these guys. And if they wanted time off work, they used to ask me some questions about this because they knew they'd get time off work if they asked me questions, and I'd get the whiteboard out and I'd be showing them things and how, you know, how to get rid of the debt quicker and be in a better place, how to invest the money. And but yeah, that's where it all came from. I just thought, when I leave the army, I want to do this. I want to help people, not just forces, but everybody. It started with the forces, but then it branched out to everyone. And that's when I met Adam for the first time through a family do. And we hit it off. And then, yeah, we just, from then on, we started just helping people financially. And we used to do a lot of financial planning for people and just showing them ways and means and just being in a better place financially. I sorted myself out first because you can't help people until you sort yourself out.
Without a doubt.
You know?
Yeah.
So I sorted myself out. Yeah. Then I started helping my families, and it went to friends, and then it's just everybody now, and members in the forces. Then it's everyone now. But that's where it all began. Yeah. And because I've been there, you see, I've been in these bad places. I've been in, you know, I nearly went bankrupt once many years ago because I made lots of mistakes. I nearly went under, but once I got my head out of the sand, educating myself, I turned it round. And that's all we do for other people. We've just got a passion for helping people know what we know. But we've gone out of our way to learn this, and we just think everybody should know it. Everyone should know what we know. And it led us down the line. It led us eventually to precious metals because it's one of the safest things anybody could do. Anyone can do. And it's not rocket science. And all it is rather than saving in currency, in a bank where it's at risk in a bank, they can take it from you legally, and it isn't owned by you anyway. We always ask people to do their own research, and all they do is swap it, save in precious metals instead, outside of the system. So they're protected from the banks and protected from inflation. You know, they've got real money, something solid, Jackie.
Exactly, yeah. But the thing is, you know, when Charlie was talking about gold and silver, and he was on about, I thought he actually meant to buy like a lump, you know, a bar of gold or a bar of silver, or, you know, in coins and that. And my question to that was, well, what could you do with that? You know, if you wanted to buy anything?
I guess.
Good question.
Yeah, I guess at this point, look, it's worth us saying, Jackie, that we're happy to answer questions and tell you what we do personally and our own thoughts and opinions. But this shouldn't be seen by anyone as advice. We want to educate people, empower them so they can make their own decisions. So just to put it out there, because I know I think people are used to being told what to do as well. The system that we're in is quite hypnotic, and you know, you do this, and when the bell goes, you stand by your desk and you do this and you do that. We don't want to do that. We want to kind of break the mold and say, look, here's the education, do your own research, here's what we found, and then you're empowered. You don't need anyone to tell you. No. So just to put that in there. But to your point about what do you do when you've got, you know, a bar of gold or silver or coins or whatever. For us, it's all about having the right tool for the job. So cash is good for day-to-day transactions, accepted everywhere, but a terrible store of value long-term. So you've got to work out, well, of the funds I've got, are they for spending day to day? You know, we've all got bills to pay. We have to use banks to some degree. That's the system that we're in. And how much of that is actually for a long-term investment that we just want to store the value? And that's the funds that we personally put into metals. Again, metals are kind of the opposite of cash, not great for day-to-day transactions. You can't walk into Tesco or your supermarket with a, you know, a silver coin and that kind of thing and transact, but they are a good store of long-term value. Because they are always needed, then there'll always be someone that will buy those metals from you later down the line. The way that we do it for ourselves, we actually lock in a guaranteed buyback when we buy. So we don't need to worry about the end. We actually start with the end in mind. Let's lock in the best situation at the other end so that we can buy, and we've got kind of peace of mind that everything's taken care of the other end.
Because that's like having an antique and you think, oh, you don't want to let it go in case they're doing you,
Sure.
It's worth way more than what you're being offered.
Well, there's kind of two, and this is very broad strokes, but there's kind of two different sections or subsections, you could say, of precious metals. And one would be, like, let's say you're getting a bar of gold or a bar of silver. The value of that bar is derived by the weight and what it's made of. So if it's 100-gram bar of gold, then there's the global price of gold on the day, and you've got something to kind of match it against. Whether that's in a circle or a triangle or a square or whatever, it's 100 grams. So it's the weight is what kind of derives the value. The other section is, let's say, collectible coins, and that's where you do get more into the antique area of kind of invest in it, if you want to call it that. And the value of that coin is not only derived from what it's made of, but it will be the year, what pictures on it, how rare it is, and there's more things to it, more moving parts. For us, and I would guess most people in our experience, that antique side of it and collectibles is people seem to be too busy to get into that. So what we focus on for ourselves is just getting the metals where the value is in the weight itself, and then you don't need to worry too much. I mean, some people might like it and some people might have the time to do that, but for a lot of people, just saving in gold and silver in the first place is a big enough jump, kind of mentally from what they're used to being told.
Yeah.
Before they get into the nitty-gritty details and
of antiques. I was really just making the analogy of when you've got an old antique, not particularly gold or silver, but any old antique, and you take it and you don't know if you're going to get its real value because they probably know. Do you see what I mean? But
quite simply, you can go on your search engine, go on the internet and type in the price of gold, and it's public information. It's kind of like the exchange rate. So if you think between pounds and euros, or euros and dollars, you can type that in online and it jumps up straight away. So you've got something to base it on. It's quite easy to value metal in that sense.
And so do you want to talk a bit, Adam, about why you found this such an interesting subject and got into it with?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of pick up from where James left off on the timeline, my wife is James's cousin, so that's how we're related somehow. And we just met at a family do, and you meant to, especially me being new to the family, you meant to work the room and kind of talk to everyone, and we just sat in a corner and just spoke to each other, which was, I guess, rude in one sense, but we just hit it off, and a passion for helping people and interest and that kind of thing. And as we started to get educated ourselves, we just wanted to pass that knowledge on. And I know it might sound a bit, a bit fluffy, James always says, but it's a really good feeling for us seeing those light bulb moments when people go, I get it. And it's stuff that school should have taught us. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We wouldn't be in a job if school was to teach you all this kind of stuff. And so that was great. We were educating people and like James says, showing them how they can accelerate the debt and just set themselves up for themselves and future generations, which I guess in today's society, future generations is like an eternity away. 5 minutes is forever. And just having a different view on stuff. And then people, once they got out of debt and they had some spare cash, which was great that they could get to that point, they then say, well, what do I do with it? And James is involved with property, and you always tell people what you know. So he would talk to them about property, but not everyone could invest in property. Some people would have a few £100 a month or £100 a month, and they say, look, this is what I've got spare. What do I do with it? Not really an option when for property. So we started looking into precious metals for ourselves. And we saw that it was an option that we could help the masses with. You know, people can buy gold and silver, 50 pounds a month. You can get started and do something. So that's how we got onto precious metals, because it was to fill a need, really, that people just, they don't want to go in the stock market. For me, trading paper for paper, I can't get my head around it. You know, paper cash for something else paper, but paper for metal kind of just makes sense on a real practical level. So that's how we started on this journey of buying it for ourselves, making mistakes, doing things not necessarily the wrong way, but not the best and most efficient way. And then we fine-tuned that and made it better for ourselves, and then told other people.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a more long-term. James was saying to me yesterday, it's more, you've got to be looking at it sort of long term. I mean, it's already, it won't lose its value, but it won't really gain value straight off. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, we always talk about 4 or 5 years plus, just to set people's expectations. And this is, again, this is what we do for ourselves. But the longer the better. James always says his plan with precious metals, his exit is death. You know, he's gonna pass them on for future generations. And yeah, that's what you need to be looking at. And that's why we always say, of everything you've got, if you're wanting to buy metals, divide it up and say, what is for now, what is for later, what's for 5 years, what's for 10 years. You know, if you're saving up to buy a car in 6 months, metals is probably not the best option, in our opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some principles that we use for ourselves. We only allocate funds to metals if they tick 3 boxes. They're unallocated, so for no particular purpose, not for a car or a house or anything like that. They would otherwise be sat in a bank gathering dust, and that it's for the long term. And when they tick those 3 boxes, we're pretty confident that that's where they should be.
So can you explain then how your system works? Because it's not a case of actually buying actual gold and silver as such, is it? To have it in your hand, you know.
Well, you can do that.
You can, yeah, you can.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways, and this might sound not obvious initially, but there's lots of ways of buying metals. You can kind of trade metals. You can buy a kind of gold certificate. We don't really like any of that for ourselves. We want the physical metal that we can hold in our hand if we want to. We want to know the exact serial bar numbers of the metal that we own.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and we kind of just want to get away from banks and the whole way of working that banks, you know, the way that banks work. So the reason that we don't have it in our hand is because there's some advantages of having it in storage if it's done the right way. And at this point, we're getting to finer detail, and it's preference. You know, we get some people that ring us up or email us and say, I want this bar of gold and I'm burying it in the garden. Fine. You know, it's not for us to say that's the wrong way of doing it. It's preference. Again, we tell you why we do what we do and how we do it. So we buy metals. We have them stored in high secure vaulted storage. We've actually been inside one of the vaults in Germany, in Frankfurt. And we've held the gold in our hand. We've touched it, tasted it, seen it. And I'll tell you now, those vaults are far safer than the double lock on your door. You know, no question. You know, the metals are audited, insured, and it's a very professional setup. So that's why we do it that way. Again, because the metals are in storage, then we get a guaranteed buyback as well. Because there's a history, there's a track record. The metals don't need to be tested to see, are they really gold, you know, or is it lead with gold plating on it or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So I think about this whole process, it's about priorities. Some people's priorities are, I want it in my hand regardless. Other people want the safest option or the most convenient option. And with those priorities, it can take you down different avenues. I mean, just one thing that we didn't know at the very beginning, if you buy silver and you have it in your hand, then you pay VAT, which in the UK is 20%. It's just a tax. In Europe, it can be as high as 25%. And the metal is no shinier when you pay the VAT. Okay. You're just filling, putting more money in the government's pocket for you to have that metal. If you buy silver and store it in the right way, I guess in our opinion, you don't have to pay that VAT. So automatically, just by knowing a few little things, you can save yourself, what, 20%?
And that's legally, Jackie, legally.
Yeah, legally. This is no, they're not like tax
Nothing
loopholes
dodgy.
or anything. It's just storing it in the right place.
We won't even go into tax things, but yes.
Yeah. No. Let's not get there.
Oh yeah, I know exactly why you've said that. So it makes absolute sense. Yeah. So yeah, once you've done your investigations into it, or looked into it, what was the best route for you? So this is Gold Busters is the one that you're really.
Well, Gold Busters is people can contact us at Gold Busters, and we don't actually sell metals ourselves. We show you how we buy them and how we have been buying them for the last 6 or 7 years. We're customers first and foremost, and we always say that. I think that's important as well, that people know that, because it's very easy to say, hey, you should do this with your money. We never say that. It would actually be easier. People want to be told what to do a lot of the time, but we say, this is what we do. This is the company we use and how we go about it. And if you want to do the same, great. If not, no problem.
So that's why we set up a Telegram channel, wasn't it, Adam? Because many of our customers, they're just used to being told what to do, and they want to be told what to do. But obviously, we won't do that. We don't believe in it, and we wouldn't do it anyway. We can't. So the next best thing is we say to them, look, okay, if you jump on our Telegram channel, we'll just tell you what we're doing. Yeah. At least we can share with people what we do, and they can get in touch with us. And people always ask us for advice still, but we'll always just tell them our thoughts. We'll never tell them what to do or advise them, but we'll always just say, well, again, it's just show them what we do. It really is that simple, but yeah.
So how have you got to the point, like where you said you were helping your friends and paying off their debts and that, how quickly did that happen for you, that you were able to do that, James? Or is that through the gold, or was that when you were in property?
That was well before we started with the precious metals. Yeah, that's when myself and Adam got together, and we used to actually put financial plans together for people. We used to help them in all different areas, like such as mortgages and things like that, and we used to show people how to get rid of the mortgages quicker.
And this is, sorry, just to jump in there, James, this is stuff that you don't get taught at school. And I've even spoke to mortgage advisors, and
no idea.
They don't even know it's possible, because and this is not poking fun at mortgage advisor or financial advisor or whoever. It's just that there's a system and a box, and when you go into these kind of professions, you are in the box. And it's very rare in our experience that people look outside of that box. We did. We kind of, I think once you start seeing this other stuff, you can never unsee it, if that makes sense. You kind of ruined in a good way. And with mortgages, it's just maths. It's maths that no one tells you. In fact, let's just put it out there, and it's not something that we do now, but just to, I guess, illustrate a point for anyone watching is, when would you say, Jackie, we'll put you on the spot here, when do people pay their mortgage? As in, what kind of frequency? Every day, every week, every month, every year? When
monthly, isn't it? Monthly.
Yeah.
And why do you do that? What's the other option? Is there another option? Does it make a difference? Yeah, and this is what you're told, either directly or indirectly. Actually, making the same amount payment, so you're not paying any more, but paying it in a different way, you can accelerate out of debt and pay your mortgage off a good few years quicker, maybe 5 years quicker, and save thousands in interest. Just maths.
So my son, for instance, is just about to move house. So they've got a mortgage, but they're just taking on a much bigger mortgage. And there's a way that would be better for him. Yeah.
Just pay it weekly rather than monthly.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if he's paying £1,000 a month, just pay £250 a week instead.
And you think, well, what difference does that make, right? It's 1,000, whether it's 1,000 in four, in 4 chunks or 1,000 in one go. And I just want to say, look, at this point, this is not something that we kind of do now, but it's something that we have helped people with. And here's the reason why that 4 lots of 250 versus 1,000 matters. And that's because interest is calculated daily. Okay.
Right.
And no one tells you this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say on the end of day 1, you pay interest. Interest is calculated on your outstanding balance, and they add that interest on. Now on day 2, they calculate the interest on the balance, but the new balance from day 1, which already has interest on it. So there's a little bit more. It's only tiny, but mortgages are big amounts, aren't they? So small things make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Now, by the time you get to day 28, let's call it a normal month, or 28-day month, you've had interest on interest on interest on interest, and you're paying it off. You've kind of got the compound effect working against you. You're paying it off on the 28th when that interest has snowballed. Well, if you pay it off weekly, then you are stopping that interest accumulating throughout the month. I mean, you could say the most efficient way to do it would be daily, but it's a logistical nightmare, and I think you'd raise too many eyebrows, and I think people would kind of start to say things that you can't do. But weekly is definitely possible, and so it makes a big difference.
Just to make that clear then,
yeah,
to pay it weekly, that's nothing to do with gold and silver.
No, that's just something extra.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that we used to do.
Yeah, that's just us giving you that little bit more and just giving you an idea of what we've learned in the past. It's not just that, but we used to teach this sort of stuff to people. It's classed as revolving debt. It's the same as credit card debt. If you pay it off on a regular basis, or pay your balance down quicker, bring that balance down quicker rather than waiting for it to build up over the whole month, then you'll save yourself more money. And it's
So you can say to the bank or whatever company you've got the mortgage through that you want to pay it weekly.
You have to be careful how you do it.
Yeah.
Not because there's anything wrong with doing it. Again, and we're not knocking people that work in banks or anything like that, but they're very much in the box, and a lot of them don't know that it's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
So,
why you'd even do it?
Why you'd even do it?
Yeah.
What they'll be like, well, what difference does it make? But it does make a difference.
I'm really grateful for you sharing this, because I've not heard this before.
Very, very few people.
Everyone should know about it, Jackie. Everybody should know about it. That's why we get
exactly.
This is how we want to even share this information.
We don't really talk about this stuff much now, but this is just one of the things that got us to the point where we're helping people get out of debt quickly, using maths and logic and just stuff that you don't get taught. And then they said, great, we've got some spare money, and we said, well, look, this is what we do and how we do it, and that's how we got to gold and silver. So you kind of understand the chronology of the journey. Because
we've had people in the past. I also had somebody at the event actually asking me about precious metals, and he mentioned that he had lots of debt, and I said, well, maybe you better off getting rid of the debt first. There's no point buying precious metals if you've got all this debt. So I told him a few ways in which debt stacking and what we just showed you there, and how to get rid of his debt first. Quicker, get rid of that debt first, and then you can look at precious metals down the line. So
absolutely,
it all works together, really.
Yeah, because like when my boys were younger, obviously, if I'd been able to buy into gold and silver then perhaps, for their university, they wouldn't be in debt now. Well, luckily the older one's not, because he didn't go to university, but the younger one, but he's still got to pay off his university debt.
Jackie, the amount of financial plans we've done for people, and they've had all this debt hanging over them, from university fees and etc. Exactly. Thousands and thousands of pounds of fees. And this is another reason why when my little boy was 3 days old, I set up a precious metals account for him. So we've been saving for him for 4 years now. He's 4 years old. So he's been saving in gold, silver, platinum and palladium since he was 3 days old. So
amazing.
Or a lot of grandparents like to set up accounts actually, and parents and grandparents for their, grandkids or kids, for their futures, for the schooling or for, down the line, or pensions. It's normally pensions or schooling, or it's
exactly,
just
for pensions, all those sort of things you've got to think of, because what is it going to be worth when we get, when it gets to pension time or whatever. So can you just explain a bit then, what, or are you happy to, what, if we're interested in going into whatever you're into, what we'd have to do?
So all you would need to do is, I think we've given you a link people can click on to make it really easy, and they would just get in contact with us. And
I'll just say there then, Adam, that Joe Hayes, I'm hoping, is watching this now. Joe Hayes, a friend of mine, and I sent in the link that you sent me, because obviously where we're live, I can't see the comments, and he's going to add that link for me so that people, so if anyone's interested in that link, then by all means look for Joe Hayes's comment and he will have put the link on.
Perfect. And again, I know I've said it a couple of times, but the stuff that we do now is helping people with gold and silver, because again, that's how we can help most people. So, and the mortgage stuff is just an extra, but please do your own research. Please look into it. Even if you type into your search engine, bi-weekly payments or weekly mortgage payments or something like that, just even if we can plant the seed and you go down that rabbit hole, then look into it and see what you can do. But get in contact with us if you're interested in gold and silver. We'll show you what we do, what we've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years now, and we'll tell you why we do it like that, and all the reasons that we think it's worth doing this way.
And we'll always be honest with people, Jackie, too, just to add to that, because everyone's in different situations. Everyone's very unique to each other, aren't they? And depending on where they want to be in their situation, sometimes we'll say to people, well, maybe it isn't right for you right now because of this, this, and this, or maybe you're better off doing this or this. And sometimes on the odd occasion, we've sent them somewhere else to another bullion dealer if what we do might not be best for them. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes we'll send them somewhere else.
True.
Because it's what's best for them, not what's best for us. It's what's best. That's always been our motto from day one, and we've stuck to it no matter what. It's what's best. It's what's best for them 100% of the time, not us. Nothing to do with us.
Absolutely.
So that means sending them somewhere else. We'll do that.
Yeah, because people are so skeptical, especially when it comes to money, because we were not taught at school about money, and we're not open. Do you know, I remember Louise Hay, who's a marvelous, I know she's passed now, but she's if you've heard of Hay House authors. No. Yeah, known worldwide. Absolutely. She's like the godmother of America, a wonderful woman, good friends with Oprah Winfrey and everything. Anyway, she used to say it's easier to talk about sex than it is money. That's how we're brought up.
Of course.
Because no one wants to talk about money situation. My son spoke about, he was asked once what he was earning by another chap at work. We've all had this situation, haven't we? And he never thought twice. He told him and found out that he was on a little bit more than the bloke that asked him, and he had a year of awfulness, really. Because he had no idea there was an issue going to be around that.
Sure.
And that's what, and I always remember at Marks and Spencer's, we were always told, don't ever talk about what you're earning to other staff members. That was like in the policy of.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. We always say, the amount of schooling that someone has is, I think now is around 14,000 hours. And the number of hours that you get of personal financial education, I had none.
I don't believe I did, for sure.
There was not 1 hour of personal financial education. And then I guess we can't really be surprised that people don't want to talk about money, because it wasn't, the example wasn't set that it's okay to do that. And not only okay, but that you should. You learn about Pythagoras and all this kind of stuff. Personally, I've never used it. I'm sure in some professions you do use it, but we use money, all of us, every single day. We live on a financial planet. It's, it's like oxygen. It's you kind of, your last breath is not as important as your next breath. And that's what, you know, you need to, not that money is a god or anything like that, but you get stuck without it.
It's the reason we have to go out every day. It's the reason most people go out every day, isn't it?
Yeah,
to do
exactly. Exactly. And we just want to, we want it to be an empowering thing, though. Not that people feel fearful or that there's anything negative, that it actually empowers them and they feel like they're in control and they can actually steer the ship. They're in control. I think just to a point you made earlier about people are nervous, we always say, look, start small. And you don't have to throw everything you've got into metals. You just start small and build up confidence. We can talk like this now because we've been doing it 6 or 7 years, and we've built up confidence. And that's just start small. That's it.
And we're here to help people hold their hands, aren't we? So we hold people's hands all the way through.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you do workshops on where to start, or?
We actually take people through a few step kind of process when they get in contact with us, and we talk about why we buy metals, the fact that we only put funds into metals when they're unallocated funds, and it's about having the right tool for the job. Again, just principles that you can take for yourself and say, well, let me apply them to my life and see what that looks like. Does that make sense? Then we kind of show you, right, well, this is how we do it, this is why we do it, and then people can go on and then decide, this is what I want to do. I want gold, I want silver, I want a bit of both, and go through there. So it's in kind of digestible chunks, and you can ask questions at any time. Email us, and we'll get back to you.
Because I did put in, before I started this, I did put in something about asking a question on Google or whatever it was about gold and silver, and it said the 7 main reasons why people would invest in gold or silver. You know, it's high demand, universal value, where would you get the best price? I don't know what. I went off on that, but anyway, all you got to do is put in, like you say, look it up. Because it's a proven thing over the years, isn't it?
Well, Jackie, I mean, this is something we used to talk about on our seminars, because Adam and myself, we used to do quite a lot of seminars around the country, and if we ever asked the question, if I was to give you £50 worth of cash or £50 worth of gold right now, and you keep it for 10 years, which would you rather have? Nobody ever points to the cash, to the currency. Nobody ever. Everyone points to the gold. They all know psychologically. I think they all know. So then we always ask them, well, why do you save in paper currency then? If you know that this gold will buy you more in 10 years' time, why do you save in currency? Why? And then they all go, oh, the penny drops, light bulbs are going left, right, and centre, and everyone gets it. You know,
it's really good.
I think people do know. They're just used to having it in the bank, and they don't. Yeah, I think they do know back there somewhere.
It's just wanting to feel secure in what you're doing and where you're putting exactly having that security, because for some reason we still got a feel around a NatWest or a Nationwide or whatever, you know, that there's a security there, but there's not really, is there?
I think it's
not in our view.
It's social proof, isn't it? It's everyone does it, and you know, banks, you can see the building, and it's, you know, seen as the authority, and you have to fill the paperwork in to see if they'll approve you. So you're always kind of almost submissive to their rules. It's I can tell you, when you talk about the seven reasons to buy metals, I can tell you we have two reasons.
2 main reasons,
2 main reasons. We keep it very simple. Reason number 1 that we buy metals for ourselves is control, not performance. Everyone thinks it's performance to make loads of money and all this kind of stuff. It's not. Number 1 is control, because, and again, do your own research, but when you put money into a bank, it sits on their balance sheet. That's why they give you these deposit protection schemes. In the UK, it's called the Financial Compensation Scheme. Free insurance of up to 85,000. Well, when someone's giving you free insurance, ask why. And the reason is that they take your money, they lend it out, they leverage it, they risk your money, and there is a chance that those investments might not kind of come good. They might not, you know, produce what they want. So they have to put some pre-insurance in place to cover your money. Now that for us says, well, we're not in control of that at all. If you buy metals and you do it the right way, we like to say they sit on your personal balance sheet and you're in control of them. So that's number one. The second reason is the performance. That currency, you look back through history, there's been around 750 plus currencies, paper currencies in existence. And they've all either gone to zero or lost 90+% of their value. That's what they're designed to do, believe it or not. I mean, look over the last 2 years, governments and countries have created more money out of thin air than we've ever seen before. Well, all of that has to be paid back. It's just a tax on future generations, and it just loses value.
It's a short-term gain. I mean, this is just something we always say to people: short-term gain for long-term pain.
Yeah,
we've been trying to make people aware of this for a long time now. We've been saying to people, please do something about it.
Yes,
and that's why I initially helped all my family and friends, and why I started doing this in the first place. And all my family's actually listen to me now. It's taken me many years, but they listen to me now, and that's why they all save in precious metals. You know, just to take back control and to have something down the line that's worth more than what they put in the first place.
Exactly.
And there's many more reasons, Jackie, but they're the main two. There's many more reasons if you really look into it.
And so if it's not a bank account, what do you have that you can look at?
Well, you have a precious metals account.
It's very similar to online banking, Jackie. It's very similar to online banking, but it's you can log in at any point and you can see what your holdings are, what your precious metals holdings are. You can buy, you can sell, you can transfer, you can switch, you can do all sorts.
Yeah, very flexible. But it's all physical metal at the end of the day. I mean, the online account is simply to make it easier to manage. But at the end of the day, people always ask us, what happens if the internet goes down and all this? I'm more worried about the internet wiping out my paper money in a bank that doesn't exist anyway, than my metals that have a digital kind of management system. The metal cannot be wiped out. Very, very difficult.
And do you have anything physical to say that you are, do you get anything to say if you've bought something specifically, an amount? Yeah.
I mean, we do you mean as
in
a
paper?
Record?
Yeah,
I mean, you get.
Sorry.
Yeah, you get all the records. I mean, you get loads actually. You get to see the bar serial numbers of what you legally own. It's a legal transfer of ownership. You get to see the daily audits that are done by the vault operators. You then get independent audits, which are an audit of an audit. So everyone's kind of checking everyone else. And those independent auditors go in and they put their hand on the metals and they sign off to say, yes, we agree with that initial audit that was done. You get all the insurance documents, the storage contracts. You get everything. You get a lot of stuff. And we do hold some physical metals, say physical like the others aren't physical, but we hold some metals, let's say in our hand, but it's very small, just a little bit. I've always have a few bits here. I've got like I don't know if you can see, like a little silver coin, and I have a few little 1 gram bars here, just tiny little bits. I don't know if you can see very well with the light, but it's not a lot. Just little bits.
Because that's what we've said at the start. How would you exchange those, particularly if you did buy it like that?
If you bought it like that, there'd be many places that you could take metals to be bought.
And you can look online to see what they're valued at anyway, to know if you're getting a good deal with it.
Exactly. You can always compare it with the market price or the spot price, we call it. We use those terms kind of interchangeably. And it's kind of like the exchange rate. Think of it from if your currency is pounds and you see the price of gold, then think of it as the pound to gold exchange rate. That's what you'd get, swapping your pounds to gold or your gold to pounds.
I love your connection and how you've really taken this on and really want to tell the world about it, because I know it's, you don't have to convince anyone, but you're still happy to help out, which is really lovely.
No, we're Jackie. It's the best job in the world. We really, really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it
we
makes
do.
such a difference. And yeah, I am a bit fluffy myself personally, probably more than Adam. He always laughs at me, but I just enjoy helping people. You know, when I was in the army, I was like, I really want to do this. I want to go out and help people and carry on doing it. You know,
and we never.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, sorry. We actually never want to convince people.
No, it's not about that. Yeah.
We have had the occasional and very, very occasional, but people say, let's say the husband or the wife or you know, one of a couple would say, I'm fully on board with this, but my other half isn't. Are you all right to jump on a call and convince them? And we've just had to say, oh, I'm really sorry, but we never want to do that. It's just not how we want to do it. We want people to be educated and to actually make the decision themselves if they want to, and if it's right for them. And if it's not, no problem. We're still happy to talk to you. You know, we're not gonna say, right, disappear.
And as you can see, Jackie, we're not salesmen.
No.
Yeah.
But it's so good of you to share that bit that you do know with us. You know, just on that mortgage thing alone. I mean, I had no idea.
Massive. Massive.
Yeah, people
it's
don't.
Such a big thing. And we've helped. You know, we've guided so many people with that. So many people in the past. And they've saved thousands of pounds just from doing that.
Yeah. That's incredible. Obviously, you've heard of the straw man, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we won't even go there, I know, but it is that's completely a wind up, isn't it? Because what they're lending you is yours anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you really go down the rabbit hole, you could. Oh, it's mad. I mean, I used to always say on my videos that the banks lend you fresh air. They lend you that fresh air plus interest, and then when you don't pay that fresh air back plus interest, they'll take real assets off you, i.e. your home.
Yep.
So it's like an asset collection service, really.
Yeah.
You know, they don't lend you anything. People who are very ethical and they have integrity will say, yes, but I must pay that back. They've given me it. They haven't given you anything. They've done this a keyboard. They've typed some numbers in the screen.
And just like the government do, it's a smaller version of when the government say, oh, we need, you know, COVID, we need to give everyone money. And we're not saying whether that was right or wrong for them to do that, but where did they get that money from?
Yeah.
They didn't. It wasn't from anywhere. They just created it and said, okay, you now owe the government back all of this plus interest. And there was nothing there in the first place. It's a mad concept when you get into it, but go down that. I would encourage people, even if we can just plant that seed, please do some research and just pull on that bit of string and see where you get to.
That's why we only like physical things, like metals, something physical.
Yeah, because they always say save for your future. So I mean, what I'd be looking for is for pension. What my sons would be looking for is mortgage. And university for their children if they have any.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it just makes absolute sense, doesn't it? You know, far better than what anything's doing.
It's one of the safest things you could ever do to protect your family. It's one of the best things you could ever do. It's one of the safest things you could do. You know, I mean, I've done other things in the past, property, which I still do, and I also do crypto, things like that. But you can't really go wrong with precious metals. Yes, they go down in the short term and they go up and down like this, but long term,
overall, you know, overall, it's like property, isn't it? Overall, you're going to be all right, really.
Yeah.
I think what we always say as well, and I think a lot of people miss this again because the way we're programmed is looking at, say, the performance of gold is only 50% of the picture. The other 50% is the performance of what you're giving up. If what you're giving up is going down, paper money, if what you're giving up is going down at 10% per year, let's say, and what you're getting, gold, maintains its value, then in our book, that's a win. If we can stop you losing value, you're winning.
Plug the holes in the boat, as Adam always says.
Yeah, plug those holes. Let's stop the boat going down before we think about winning a race. But people don't always think about that. They don't think about what they're giving up and don't even realize that their paper money is going down in value. But again, do some research. It is designed to do that.
You can't do much worse, Adam, can you, than having your savings in currency in a bank? You can't do
no.
Paper assets in general, I think, really. But,
yeah, true.
I'm really grateful to you lads for this. So the best way, well, that link will be on under this, you know, video anyway. I'm recording it, it'll go on to BitChute, so I'll add the link on there as well. And so do you have a Facebook page, either of you?
We're in the process where we've been a bit, this whole journey for us has been kind of just learning social media and things like that. And we just, again, for us, it's just a passion of getting the information out there. So we're in the process of doing that. And we can share it with you as soon as it's
no worries. What I was just thinking is, if there's any comments or questions under this link on Facebook, would you be able to view it to answer them?
I would say the best thing is for people to click on the link and get in contact with us that way, and then we can kind of send you loads of videos and point you in the right direction. That's going to be the most valuable, I think.
That'd be the best way to do it, because we've got a good little system around that, Adam, haven't we? That we've followed. We've got it running really well now. So that's the best way to ask the questions.
Because you can bet, you know, I'm thinking I might have asked the right questions, but there's always going to be other questions. So by all means, then you're happy for people to get in touch with you.
Of course.
We'll always jump on again with you, Jackie, anyway, if you want us to.
Amazing, lovely.
Because you're bound to have more questions down the line. So.
Exactly, Very, very grateful then. Thank you so much.
No worries at all, Jackie.
Thanks for having us on.
Anyone watching, thank you.
Cheers, bye.
See you later. Thank you, bye.